to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Valley View. Oh, I didn't see you there. Gotta stay safe, coronavirus. Happy birthday. Gotta do it. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. That's the wrong show. But listen, today we're gonna do something really cool, and we're gonna have a conversation about love and hate. Because I think we all can agree that sometimes we hate on people. Sometimes we thrive on it. Sometimes we make assumptions and judgments about people that aren't just true. And I think that we would all understand that we do this because we live in a culture filled with hate. But is this what we're supposed to do as Christians? Because I think a lot of us would admit that God wants us to love people and not hate. But how do we love people who get on our nerves? How do we love people who don't want to be loved? How do we tell someone truth without seeming like a hater? And we're gonna have a conversation about that today, and we're gonna discuss it in the next couple of weeks. So let's get started. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm glad you guys are tuning in tonight. I'm really excited that you're here because I have a lot of cool people I'm going to introduce you to, and we're going to have a conversation over the next couple weeks about how we love people in a world filled with hate. And it's going to be kind of a cool conversation because if you really think about it, we're all coming from different perspectives. We have a rock star, Tinsley, over here. She's a freshman in high school. She crushes it. We have Braden. He's in college, and he just got married.
Yes, sir.
He's our middle school pastor as well. We have Chris Aiden over here. He's on the workforce, double masters, one master, most smartest man I know. Can I say that's not really a very smart statement to say about someone that's really smart?
It's acceptable.
It's acceptable. Okay,
That's
he's
awesome.
very humble, except in my bad English. Anyways, and then we have Isaac over here also. He's about to get married, and he's also our student worship leader. So listen, we're gonna have this conversation, and I think we could all agree that it's natural for us to live in a world with haters, and we all want to be on the right side of loving people, but it's also sometimes really easy to join in on the hate and just kind of be a hater sometimes. And if we can also probably agree that the words love and hate, we use them so freely and so often. For instance, I could say that I love Fruity Pebbles, but I hate country music. Right? Fruity Pebbles are the bomb, but I just don't like country music. I know that's
Okay.
it's not really
Cool.
I know.
That's
just
a weird, yeah.
maybe I should try it again. But another one I could say is this: I love Justin Bieber, but I hate cats.
I'm with you on the cats.
I do.
cats.
I don't like cats.
I like cats. I'm a dog person,
Yeah.
I do, Jonathan. I do love your cat T-shirts. They're awesome. They're incredible. But that's me. Well, here's a great question for all of us: is what would be your I love but I hate statements?
I love volleyball, but I hate conditioning. It's not fun. It's it makes me mad too. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyone who says they like
just wanna
conditioning is
play,
lying.
Yeah,
Yeah, I want to
play.
play, but
I wish we could do sports without conditioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Church league.
Church
league,
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
what church league is for.
Yes.
For me, I really love sports and watching sports, and I even like college basketball a lot. But I cannot stand watching the NBA because I don't know. All they do is just run up and down and shoot threes really deep and miss, and it's just so annoying to me. College is actually competitive. I don't know.
Okay.
That's
So
how I
why don't
feel
you
about
just
it.
call Steph Curry out then? What did you
Right.
just say?
Okay.
Yeah.
At Steph
All right,
Curry.
that's Steph. Come at me.
He's probably watching this right
He's
now.
probably watching
He's
it.
watching
Yeah.
it.
We
He's
have a very
definitely
broad
watching
audience,
Bellevue.
and I'm pretty sure Steph is probably in it. Yeah. So.
I would say, and this might stir up some conversation, but I actually love Fuller House more than Full House.
Bro.
It just,
Uh,
the new version is, I like it better than the other one.
I think the
I think
original.
you need to retry watching the regular
Yeah.
one. Maybe
The
you'll
OG
like
is
it
so
more.
good.
I'll give
So
you
much
that.
better.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching it when it was actually going on.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where I'm coming from, but
Yeah.
I like the newer one better.
Honest confessional, I've never watched Fuller House.
Okay.
It's
You're
not
not
worth
really
it.
missing
Just don't
out.
waste your time.
It's
not worth it.
Don't do it.
I feel like
As
we're
long
hating on
as you
people.
have
We
at
are.
least watched Friends.
I love
haven't-
Friends.
I haven't
Friends
watched it
is
at all.
good.
Friends
I
is
was
good.
watching
Friends is
it and then it
okay.
got taken off Netflix, so I was like, well, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Nickelodeon.
You're right.
Yes, I watch on Nickelodeon. Good.
I'd say for me, I love working out. I love the gym, but I hate when the gym is crowded. I cannot stand it. It drives me crazy when I have to wait for a piece of equipment or something. I cannot stand it. I hate it.
It
It's
is
the
a very
worst.
bad feeling.
It is.
I agree with
It's
that.
awful.
Agree with that.
Takes
Well,
you
hey-
off the groove.
Right.
Yeah, it does take out your group. Yeah, I think for us, like, we can all agree that love and hate are both, like, common terms that we use. It's very natural for us to use them. And you think love is a big deal. Like, every, romantic comedies, they're always big. Every, like, top chart song is a lot of times about love. Like, Valentine's Day is massive. Like, love is a really, really important thing. But you also think of it like our world is also filled with hate. Like, our culture loves it. We make fun of celebrities. We hate on TikTok stars. We hate constantly. And a lot of us, we even do this in our own life. We may not do it out loud, but we have a private text on our phone with a few friends that we can send, or maybe a Snapchat group or TikTok message that we constantly hate, making fun of people. Like, we live in a world filled of hate. So I think another great question is this: if love is such a big deal, then why does hating on people seem to be such a natural part of our life?
I feel like a lot of hate comes from like a place of pain and a place of hurt. I think it's just so easy when we're feeling bad or feeling down to want to have other people hurt and feel bad as well. And I also think it's just really easy for us to want to use our energy to kind of put people down instead of build ourselves up and build the people
good.
up around us.
Yeah, I think it's really easy, like just in our culture, to be negative about everything. Like you don't see a lot of people pointing out like all the good things about stuff. It's always like this went wrong. Like I didn't like this. This was bad. Like it's just so easy to like feed into that and be negative.
And it's easy to do if like other people are doing it because you feel like you need to do it to fit in, and like you really don't. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are all like really important. And I think for the rest of our time, our conversation, let's guide it to this. And I think one of the most common ways that we hate on people is this thing called gossip, right? And gossip is something that a lot of times we think, oh, that's somebody else. Like I'm sure when I said gossip, you probably thought at home, like those people are the worst, right? I mean, we don't like people who gossip. But also, if we were really honest with ourselves and we really would like be truthful, then we partake in gossip a lot more than we would like to admit. And gossip is like a reasons it happens is I think a lot of great points that y'all have already made is that everyone else is doing it, right? Or we walk into a conversation and it's happening, or even if we say we're doing it to be prayerful, or hey, I just need you to be thankful or thinking about this person, we're still taking part of gossip. And it's so easy just to kind of go with the flow. It's so easy to kind of like be the critic. I mean, that's such a natural part. Or it's like you said, like your insecurities or your fears or something about you, and all of a sudden we just start to gossip because we want to make someone else feel bad because we want to be feeling like better. For instance. So gossip is definitely an accepted part of our culture. And I think the great question here is, when it's a time that gossip has affected you?
I think gossip in general just kind of makes me feel negative, and then I'll start to base my thoughts of somebody off of what other people said instead of my own experiences with that person.
Man, gossip can be something very interesting. I remember in one time we were in a conference and there was a whole bunch of churches there and people that we knew, and we had this gossip went around that during the sermon, which was like, one of the most important parts.
Yeah.
You want to be there during the sermon. Me and another friend of mine has snuck out and as in like a date to just go out and do stuff. We were like 13, 14 or so, and that just kind of ruined that whole part of that conference because we were all worried about debunking that gossip that went around about us. So it definitely affects people really, really bad.
Yeah, for sure. I remember gossip is one of those things that you have to fight, and like it could be the most outrageous lie. It could be something crazy. I remember being in 7th grade and I had a girlfriend, and it was like one of those awkward, 7th grade, it's kind of awkward, like you talk like a few times, maybe like, send a note or something, I don't know. We didn't have texting then, I was a little older, I'm sorry. But like, I remember like these guys on a basketball team, they were older than me, they just made up this rumor, this gossip thing, and they went and told my girlfriend, and it was like one of the most, I still remember it, it's like terrifying, a nightmare. Like I remember being in the middle of the 7th grade hallway, and like she broke up with me, like in front of other people. Like there was like the circle, and it was like right there, like it's like, man, it was like right over, all because of this gossip, something that was totally untrue, that I never said, that they said that it happened, and it destroyed, man. It's like so true.
Wow.
So I think like we can all agree that gossip is something that is terrible, and a lot of us can probably look and say, "Hey, I've been on the receiving end of that, and it makes us feel bad, and it's a terrible thing." But I think also we can kind of admit that gossip is something that's hard to quit. Because when we talk about gossip, maybe you're at home and you're thinking, I don't want to be a part of that, but I don't really know if I can stop. And I think a great place for us to look today is the Bible, because really if we think about gossip is not a problem that we have in our culture only today. It's not a 2020 problem. It's a people problem. Like really, gossip has always been a problem since people were around. And the Bible kind of shows us this. The Apostle Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 4. Notice what he tells us here.
It says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. And so Paul's very clear, just like one straight up sentence, like don't be involved in unwholesome talk as Christians. And another way we can kind of think of that word unwholesome is rotten. And really that perfectly describes what we're talking about, gossip. Gossip's just rotten, like it's a rotten conversation, like you're those conversations are never healthy. They're always rotten, and they always, rot friendships, rot relationships, they even rot reputations. It's just always bad.
Yeah, and he continues on here. He says, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. But he says, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So Paul's kind of showing us here that we have a choice to change our language. Because the truth is, when it comes to gossip, you can choose to participate or you can choose not to participate. You can choose to take part in that rotten talk, or you can choose to be someone who encourages, to benefit, to use words that help others, not words that hurt others. Mm-hmm. So, really think about encouragement as something that is so, so powerful. When's a time for us that someone has said something positive to your life, and how's that impacted you?
I think just like growing up when I was younger, if I had an older friend or someone that I looked up to, like maybe a coach and even my old youth pastor, if they said something that like I did something good or did something right, just something encouraging, like that always just helped me to like want to keep going. It's motivation really, just to not give up.
Yeah,
that's good.
When I was a young man and I just started getting into working out, I remember I was in the gym and I was talking to this guy, and he's like super jacked, and he was just having this conversation with me, and he was telling me, he's like, hey man, if you work hard enough, you can compete, you can lift this weight, you can do all these great things. And I was kind of insecure at the time, so I kind of looked at him and I was like, I don't know, man, maybe. And he got real quiet and he kind of like took a step back and he stared at me and he said, no, man, he said, there is no maybe. Either you put the work in, you can accomplish it, or you won't. And when he said that, it kind of changed my mindset about a lot of things, and it kind of inspired me, and that's kind of been a mantra that I've lived by ever since that conversation.
And that dude was Hulk Hogan.
Maybe. Can't prove that it wasn't.
I don't think they even know who Hulk Hogan is. They're
Probably
like,
not.
that. I don't know.
Probably like two people
I
watching.
should have used like John Cena or somebody.
John Cena's the man.
Can't see me.
Right.
I don't know. Anyways, can't believe we went there. I think encouragement, we can all agree, is so powerful. Like for me, I remember I was 19 at the time. Just got saved just a couple years before, and like really was feeling like God was calling me to do ministry. But at the same time, I had so many excuses. Like I didn't know a lot about the Bible. I didn't get saved. I didn't go to church growing up. Like none of my family really went to church. Like how was I supposed to be a pastor? How was I supposed to do that? I remember just running from it, just like having every excuse in the book. And we went on a mission trip. And there was this guy there. He was a pastor of another church that went with us, and his name was Ben. And I remember him just afterwards. He would do this like group session on a mission trip, and they would have like a sermon. And he was so good. He's such a powerful speaker, and I just loved him. And then afterwards, he like stayed one day, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you stay around and talk to me afterwards?" Which I was like, "Crap! Like, what did I do? What did he see?" Like, you automatically like get called to the principal's office. I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" But I remember that moment. I'll never forget. He set us down in the front row there, and he just sat there and he's like, "Ryan, have you ever thought about being a pastor?" And I kind of lied to him, if I'm fully honest. Like, I wish I didn't. I wish I could like. I just told him the truth, and I just, right then it was crazy different, but it wasn't. But I'll never forget, he was like, man, God has something talented in your life. And he started speaking all these positive things. He was like, you're a leader, people follow you, like all these affirmation. And to be honest, from that moment on, like God just did some crazy, crazy stuff, and he used him to really, really impact me. So positivity, encouragement is something that definitely builds up other people. And that's what Paul's saying. We have a choice here that we can either choose rotten talk, or we can choose to encourage and build someone up that benefits them. I love that word he uses there. Yeah. But I think he's also shown us something else. He's also shown us that what we say about others says a lot about us. And for instance, Jesus even said it this way in Mark 7:15. He says, it's not what goes into your body that defiles you. You're defiled by what comes from your heart. So according to Jesus, what comes from your mouth is important because it shows the condition of our heart. So it brings us to another question is how do we keep our heart in check?
really just surrounding yourself with good people, like people who will influence you to do good stuff and not like negative, bad things.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely a big thing to have other people. I know, like, it always helps me to have someone that can point out where I'm wrong and where my heart's in the wrong place. And definitely my wife is good at pointing out just, like, where I need to grow and where I'm struggling and, like, helping me with that, too.
Yeah. I'll say also, like, having your quiet time of prayer, too. God can speak to you, and he can just talk to him what troubles you're having, what questions you have. And God can speak to you either verbally or through, his word, just.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good.
I feel like when I'm starting to hate someone or something, it's usually just some outward projection of some type of fear or insecurity that I have. So when I catch myself hating people or a certain situation, I usually have to take a step back and kind of examine my own life and my own heart and kind of find the root cause of what's actually causing that hatred. And when I find that, I give that to God and I ask him to kind of correct that situation within myself. And typically when I do that, I realize that it's not the other person or the situation that's causing me those feelings of hatred. It's usually my incorrect response because I'm not responding out of love. I'm responding out of something completely different.
And that is good. That's like,
Deep.
yeah, that'll preach right there. That's awesome. I think as we kind of transition out of gossip, but one of the things is, I think if we would ask the question, how do we not engage in gossip? I think 2 questions would help us like to think about that. And to like look differently. And the first one is something I've always heard is the question is what do you want to be about? If we woke up every single day or every single conversation I walked in, if I would ask the question, is this what I want to be about? For instance, when someone says, hey, Tinsley Rankin, here's what she's about. She's someone who partakes in gossip. She's someone who like rotten friendship. She's like, rotten food in front of you. Let's just think about that. Like rotten fruit. Like none of us would be like, that's appetizing. I want to be a part of that. And we can look and go, hey, is that what I want to be like? Or is it going to be somewhere where they look at Tinsley and go, man, I'm better because Tinsley Rankin's in my life. Like she's someone who speaks positivity. She's encouraging. Like all these like testimonies we gave earlier about how that encouraged us. Every single one of us, hopefully you have that. And that's kind of like we have the choice. Like we have the choice to either speak hatred, to continue to spread it, or we can be someone that can look and say, hey, I'm going to let love be what I'm all about. Like, I'm going to let love be what I'm all about. Every single situation, I'm going to let love be what I'm all about. I'm going to make the choice of, is this what I want to be about? And I don't want to be about hatred. I'm going to be about positivity. I want to be about love.
Definitely. Love's so important because that's what Jesus showed us. And another great question is to ask yourself is like, is this going to be helpful? Like, is what I'm going to say or like this conversation I'm about to get into, is this going to help anyone? Or is this just going to tear someone down? Is it going to make them feel bad about themselves? Is it gonna like be gossiping about someone else? So like Paul's telling us, like think, is it gonna benefit someone? It's like we can think when we're in a conversation, is what I'm about to say gonna help in any way, or is it just gonna be bad? Because if it is, it's not even worth our time.
Yeah, that's good.
That's awesome.
I think we let love be our filter. It would change almost everything. I like imagine a world where there was no gossip. Imagine a world and like how much different it would be in our our schools, our families, just in the whole entire world. Imagine how different it would look. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. It was so good to see you guys. And we're going to continue this conversation over the next couple weeks. And next week, we're going to talk about something that's really important that probably all of us have dealt with, is how do we have a conversation about something tough and we don't seem like a hater? How can we have a difficult conversation and it turn out to be good? So make sure you tune in next week as we talk about this. And make sure you join us here next Wednesday night, Instagram Live at 6:30, on YouTube Live and Facebook Live. And make sure you share it, invite other people to tune in with us. Head over to Zoom, and we'll see you guys next week.